because they're nascent, they're quite new, and so at the moment there's a sort of a bit of testing the marketplace around what can be done and where money can go. But there's also call for much bigger funding, clearly, because the need is so great, but the mechanisms are not necessarily well formed for that large volume funding. We could be talking about hundreds of millions or billions of dollars at the moment. So yeah, do you have any idea how big the fund is?
No, it's just getting started. I think that he would like to think about Earth Regeneration Fund as growing quite large.
I'd be interested to talk to him.
Talk to Joe Brewer. So earthregenerators.mn.co is one way to get to him.
And he's also, I believe, if you're in the GRC, he's in the GRC as well.
Okay.
So I've seen him post and whatnot in there. Yeah. So great to bring up these pieces and let's kind of get into some challenges right now, and talk more about things that we're trying to overcome, obstacles or objectives that we're trying to accomplish. And Ray or Mary, who just hopped on. Mary, actually, since you just hopped on, if you can hear us, give us a quick introduction, and maybe you can start off and let us know if you have any wins, but challenges or things that you're working on, specifically from your MOKR. If you've done a MOKR, or if you haven't, just let us know what's going on.
Hey, yeah, so I'm just following you guys around. I don't have like a project or a past. I'm just like, loving everything. And then for my challenge is just since I've had to start doing full homeschool for my kids, it's just really taken a lot of my time, and so I haven't worked on things as much as I wanted to, but I've just decided that that's okay. Like, I'm still going to try to do it. So, yeah, not much has changed since last time.
Okay, awesome. All right, guys, let's go into challenges, obstacles, and objectives that we're working on right now. Go ahead and bring them up so we can start working on them.
So could I go ahead and speak?
Yeah, go ahead, Anita.
Okay, so basically what I am is out trying to find ways to get an initial group together, because I don't want whatever I'm doing to be my project. I actually want it to be collaborative. It's very important to me. I actually have experience from the past in land trust when I was in Seattle. I've been here 6 years before I was in Seattle, and I was part of Homestead Community Land Trust. And so that's the kind of thinking that I want to bring forward, as well as thinking in terms of bioregional development, or regenerative bioregional development, because that's where Joe is, and that's where Earth Regenerators is. So the challenge is actually to be able to get an initial planning group that doesn't have to be on site. One of the things that Joe has suggested, I am in a big old house, 9.5 rooms, but rough, 1 bathroom, lots of repairs needed, on about a ½ acre that I have let to go to kind of natural forage. But I also have a lot of I have contacts in the area, but everybody is like overwhelmed with their own stuff. So, I'm hoping I can find people who will just be in a little group to look at all the aspects of this and be able to help make collective decisions about what direction to go.
And just because I know a little bit more, because we've chatted about your project and what your situation is, and just ask some clarifying questions. So are you looking for strictly volunteers, or are you working with trying to find partners that are doing that have similar alignments that can maybe use the property and maybe tell us more if there is? Because I know you're aligning with Joe's work and what he's doing, and he's doing some regional work. Maybe tell us about that and tell us other things that you're looking for right now.
So what Joe suggested when 4 of us met together from Earth Regenerators was that this property could be used as a place to have an internship program that people could come for periods of time. I have a PDC, people maybe, Josh, you suggested people right fresh out of a PDC to have a place to get hands-on. I don't think of it as a business as much. When I bought this place in town, there was actually interest in making community garden in the back. So I would hope that it would turn into a kind of permaculture neighborhood garden. But some outside blood, mind, hands, whatever, need to come in at some point, I think, to demonstrate what that could look like before the people within the neighborhood actually say, oh, this is something real, maybe let's take part in it. Does that explain? Or
Yeah. I know MP is very much in a very similar mode as well. She's been working to just even earlier this year. She was working to find land, and she was in that process. But then when she found some land to work on, it was more, what do I do with this land? Like what? And we've talked about it quite a bit here, of making sure that you know what your community wants, right? And going out and talking to them. And we even had a really great episode with Adam Brock and MP, where we just really talked about that in particular, like, what are you doing, Anita, right now to talk and reach out to the community, and are you building relationships with those around you? Because that might be the first step to really understand what
I am sheltering in place. So I am not talking to much of anyone, except I'm on the Facebook page with the woman next door. No, I have talked with people before. I mean, when we came in to look at this house, somebody came out from the low-income housing next door and said, there's somebody down the street would love to have community garden here and we'll help you. Now, that low-income housing is more expensive. It's for families only, and it's more expensive than most of them can actually afford for very long. So there's a lot of churn. And so, after a couple, I just sort of gave up on that. I couldn't find the person down the street. So I did talk to somebody farther down the street who said, yeah, we all had gardens here when we were growing up. I'm on the Sustain Abingdon Committee, which has a community garden. And I did suggest there's somebody new who's just arrived, who's in her 30s and is very excited about what I'm saying and about getting together and thinking beyond where the committee is now. So there's some other possibilities, within the wider community, to be able to be involved. One of the people who has been involved, well, 2 people who have been involved. One is runs the horticulture program at the local community college. And he's actually has a PDC and would like to get the training to be able to teach and actually be able to teach in the area. And then this would be associated with the program that he has in a mutually beneficial kind of way. And then the other person who will be over here tomorrow is the professor of geography, earth and environmental sciences. He actually did his dissertation originally on collard greens, and he has a food interest. And I know somebody else on faculty there who has a food interest as well. And he has said that he will actually introduce the idea of regeneration into one of his courses in the spring. So just a little very slow moving in that direction. That's,
I think
so there's different communities involved that aren't necessarily in relationship to each other yet. So I think of it more as a demonstration place where people can be learning, and it can become visible in a way that the community begins to take it more seriously.
So you're looking for funding at this point, or you still want to get more engagement?
Well, I think that before the funding comes the planning group. and the planning group needs to talk about funding. And I'm old enough at this point that what I really see as, what I want is a transition, so that as this develops through its earlier stages, I can actually step out, because I can only live on site and in the house for so long. It's really set up more for younger people.
Mm-hmm. I know that's the part we're facing now is we want to like diversify our group, and we've realized that where I'm at is a place of privilege, and unfortunately we don't even want to attract other people necessarily that are going to work for free. And I'm lucky enough that I've been doing this completely for free. Like I have not been paid for any of all the insane amount of work I've done, but I love doing it. And not many people have that privilege. And it took a long time to like get certain people on board because not many people can volunteer their time. So it's just like really was slow moving for that reason, I think. And that's like part of it. I mean, not that you should pay people to just come and join in and want to be part of your idea. That's why I was like, but it took me a while to understand why I was in this position and why other people weren't just like, yeah, like I'm going to dedicate 100% of my time to this amazing idea. But like the other people have to work like full time, have kids. Like I don't have any of these are privileges that I have, so
So
yeah.
I think that, so one of the things coming out of Earth Regenerators, I mean, Joe is really talking about gift economy, and I am settled in there too. So how do you develop a gift economy? And so you have to be thinking, not just give me your time, but also how can I contribute to you? And that was one reason, I think, for the idea of interns, so that somebody can get hands-on, be getting valuable experience, be learning other things, and that it can be a teaching learning situation all around. In which food is also being produced.
It makes total sense, involving students. And yeah, and when you're really passionate about your idea, you can bring people in. It just takes a while,
Yeah.
I think the students, the student and teacher kind of model is a good give receive enough for a nonprofit or a charity, and even you're looking at maybe other organizations that aren't fully aligned with permaculture, but are social justice. Maybe there's some local projects like maybe helping younger people that are in a disadvantaged situation to come and live in the house, learn a trade of being more self-sufficient, or there's maybe some other parallels rather than looking straight towards the gardening and those things, but that's what that's the result that they're getting from it, right? Or is they're getting an education in how to grow food and how to be more resilient in their lifestyle as they're coming out of a difficult situation, right? There may be some other ways to turn this as a social justice part of it as well.
Right. So I was explaining to Josh also that this is a very mixed neighborhood. It's the traditional Black neighborhood, and I'm the first white person to actually own this house. And so that is part of the difficulty with the neighbors and knowing the neighbors well, because there are some racial barriers. But I think that that's something that in the United States is a great need to be able to work with. And so I see it as a potentially wonderful location.
Yeah, that's an amazing opportunity. Yeah, how to get your neighbors engaged and how you just have to get one person on board with the kind of target group you want to reach, because they can't relate to how you look, how you live. And that's me too. I've been trying to engage with the Indigenous community here, and there's nothing I can do because I didn't grow up in an Indigenous community. I don't look Indigenous. It makes a difference. And so yeah, finding your ally, even just one person could just like change it. And getting that person to, or researching, asking around, like, and finding out who's really involved in the food justice work. And yeah.
Well, and I know that you've been able to more recently have a partner within your program that is Indigenous and can also bring that in MP. And so it really just, might take a little bit to find that person, but it could really move quickly if you do find that person. So who's in the neighborhood, who, and that's really hard. COVID times are difficult.
That's the thing, to be people.
I know, and being more elderly in that respect probably is a harder situation as well to get out there and meet people, in the fact that MP or I or anybody else could probably more safely go about doing that, right? So is there online communities as well within local online communities, I should say?
Local online communities in what sense?
So in our neighborhood, we're a very suburban, very privileged area. There's an online community just for our local church area, right? And we talk, even though we're not going to church every week because of COVID, we still talk, we still share messages, we still do those things. And maybe there's some local online communities where you can tap in, but I'm not sure, right? That's maybe a place that you could explore.
Yeah, like community centers, or how are you in a really rural place or it's urban? I can't remember.
This is a small town. That has a long history. The earliest building, it goes back to 1775, which was a tavern on the road across the Appalachian Mountains into Cherokee territory. And so there are a lot of houses that were built in the early 19th century. And it came up as a money center, so that there are several layers of class here. It's also, this house is actually within 2 blocks of the side trail to the Appalachian Trail. So it's a place where hikers and people come through, so there's a tourist center that is sort of shifting its orientation a little bit more toward outside. There's a lot of history in the Appalachians. This is a town in which some of the coal people live, the managers and the owners, as the mines have either moved west or shut down. There's also, degenerated land because of the coal mining not that far away. That is an issue here. And I was explaining that one of the things I've heard about is that they were planting a tree called autumn olive because they rooted very quickly. But what has happened is they have started becoming invasive in farmland that's kind of been let go. So there's a lot of regenerative possibility in this area for someone who really wants to get into that. And I do know some people who are involved in one way or another in that sort of thing.
And your space could be like a hub for that. That's what we intend with our spaces. Like there's going to be so many offshoots of these project from there, though. And, that's a meeting place and whatever.
Yeah, that's the way I see it.
That's cool.
So I see it as a residence just in terms of local zoning at this point. It's multifamily residential.
So Seller, just real quick, sorry. Seller, you were asking for whose name from Anita?
No, they got that.
Oh, they got it. Okay, sorry.
You're way behind.
Yeah, I got that.
On chat. Okay. I'm always really slow in chat, and if Emily's on here, it's perfect to have Emily and someone else doing
The
chat.
secretary is functioning.
And in my experience too, just making friends, like just being not really having an agenda when you meet people. I think that's what I'm genuinely just love talking to people and hearing their stories, and not necessarily even talking about what I want out of this conversation or whatever. It's just like, well, I want to hear about I've heard about the work you've been doing and whatever in this place. Can you tell me more about that? And then eventually it comes back to what you want to talk about. If it doesn't, then you maybe have an entranceway to have another talk or a coffee. Well, it's different with COVID here. We're a bit more relaxed. But yeah, so I think just making friendship, building, friend raising. That's what I keep saying, friend raising first, then the funds and everything else you could possibly dream of comes so easily. Just joking.
I like Ray's suggestion in chat right now. Like, if you were to just start, because you're so likable and you're so friendly, and you can, if you were just to have some friendly conversations, or just do your own like journey and just do it that'd be a lot of fun, don't you think, Ray?
I agree.
Yeah.
And Pete,
and just
like this is the
share
way
your
I see
journey.
podcasting, is that you have this, like even calling it friend raising podcast, like that's an awesome name. It's like
that.
Conversations that you get to have. And like the key part of it is like when you have those conversations, it's between just you two or three, but you get to gift that to the world if you turn it into a podcast. And
That's
it's
so
truly
true.
like a gift. Like when I had my podcast, it was the best time I ever had, because it allowed me to have conversations with people I was going to have anyway. We hit the record button and then we publish it as a podcast.
Why don't I do that?
You know?
Seriously.
And it's a gift to the world. Like people still message me going, oh my God, I just listened to episode 64 and it's exactly what I needed to hear. And I'm like, I don't even remember what was on episode 64, you know? So it's just a gift that keeps on giving and creates massive impact.
When it's about me or what I just really love hearing about and real people's stories, like not necessarily experts, like, and that's who I talk to. And it's like, yeah, that's a really cool idea.
And you're probably already on Zoom and all you need to do is hit
true.
record. And there's software out there that will put your intro and your outro to it. So don't think that it needs to be perfect, but it's like you can literally just like download the Zoom, trim out the conversation you don't want, upload it to a platform. It will put your intro, your outro to it, and you've got a podcast. And then I'll listen and have those amazing conversations with you.
I'd already have. It's just like, I guess because I barely find time to listen to podcasts, and there's so many out there that I want to listen to. And I'm like, oh my God, why would I do that to people? Like put another thing that they've got to do. No, I'm just like, but sometimes I feel like information overload. And then now I'm going to be creating something else that probably somebody has done something amazing to, like, but what I would be doing might be, as long as that's like really different, then that would be okay, I guess. Yeah, but this is a cool idea to think about. Thank you.
So I had something to Josh, mute yourself. Okay, sorry, I was hearing double. Okay, so I had a quick thing to throw in for Anita that I was thinking about while the conversation was going on. You know, right along with let's go talk to people. There's two kinds of people that you really need to help make this go, so you can just be like, oh, take it.
Yes, exactly.
That's the visionary and the integrator. You want someone who you can, kind of express your vision and who takes it and runs with it, right?
Yes.
And sees the big picture, but not just that person, because then it won't translate into actually getting done. So then the integrator, right, comes in. For us, Josh is the visionary. He's the big, brainstorm, big vision, 20-year plan. And then I'm the integrator, because I'll actually make the plan, and I like my nose to the grindstone kind of a thing. So keep your eye out for those two types of people. Just as you don't have to like interrogate them to figure it out. Like if you talk to people about what they have going on, you can usually kind of figure out what side of the fence they kind of stand on. But another thing that I was thinking about in terms of just trying to like make friends and connect given the circumstances right now, which is trickier, is creating some type of environment. If you're having, if you're in this more kind of suburban, smaller town, if they're not super huge lots, people are going to be driving by, people are going to be walking by, right? You said, hikers coming through and stuff. If you can try to create an environment in the front of your home, if that's, chairs on the porch and you're sitting out there and, just kind of chatting to people as they walk by. If you're able to plant like some edibles, kind of along the front that like the kids can come, like grapevines, and the kids can, come grab some grapes or whatever, right? Just to like get them involved with the land just on a little basis, if you kind of put some stuff out there, some plants and stuff out there that the community can kind of get involved at to open up the conversation.
Don't look at me to do all that. This is way past my ability to do any of that at this point. You have frozen up. So somebody
sitting out there and talking.
Oh, I can sit on the porch it's up above the street level.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not that accessible. People are going by below once in a while, but it's
Oh,
not
okay.
a major street. You know,
Okay.
there's no sidewalk.
Okay.
You know, this is a little off. Great view. The porch is, you know, going to be a great place, you know, when
Mhm.
people begin to gather. You know, but right now I more see, you know, the possibility of somebody first of all, just planning from, you know, kind of formally and taking roles so that it all doesn't come on me. I don't anyone longer want people just to say, why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? Why don't you do this? I can just barely take care of myself. Right. And I can't take care of this half acre of overgrown land. Right. And with COVID, it's gotten much worse because nobody's coming in. And I explained to Josh that, you know, I have some issues with my hands and so on that keep me from doing too much work. And the last time it flared up, I just said, I can't do anything more. And I've just let it go. And the animals are coming in and so on. So it is not at that place, you know, it is not suburban. You know, I stopped mowing 4 years ago. It is very unsuburban looking at this point. You know, I was pulling up the little oak and maple seedlings, you know, so it didn't turn into oak and maple forest. But it really requires other people at this point. And there's place for them to be. There's place for them to be. If they are hikers, they can go hiking. You know, if they're interested in the permaculture stuff, if they're interested in actually visiting all the other farming people, and I know, like I talked to David King, who's Amish and has a farm in the Upper Holston, and you actually get to it, you park on the road and you take a swinging footbridge across the river, you know, no farm equipment or, you know, it's all just done by hand. You know, so I've been out there to work and I know him, and he said, yes, you know, if interns were, you know, verified, whatever, you know, so that he could trust them, it would be fine for them to come out and do some work there and find out how he does things. So there is that kind of more spread out kind of education as a possibility too, not just on the town place, but also in other people that I have some contacts with. Anthony Flaccavento is here, and I know Anthony. Started off as an organic farmer here, but started the something called Appalachian Sustainable Development, which is actually starting an agroforestry program now, and started the farmers market, and wrote a book about the bottom-up economy and has been doing consulting all across the country. Ran for Congress a couple times. It's a very conservative area, so he didn't quite make it, but he did well. So, you know, there is a network of people that there is a lot to learn from.
So I think within that network, especially, so Anthony being a big piece, I'm almost thinking like you need to find someone like MP at the right time, right? Mm-hmm. Because MP, just even like 7 months ago, I think would have like really loved this project if she was in that area. I don't know, correct me if I'm wrong, MP.
So true.
While you were looking for land, and there's people out there that are trying to do activism, trying to get involved, but I think, you know, someone like Anthony probably has too much on his plate to even consider.
All of these
right?
people have too much on their plate.
It's really interesting. Right. I posted the link.
And I've run into his name actually a couple times.
I've never heard of him.
But I would say what would be really, really fun and cool to try out as a experiment and test for you right now is with your community, you know, talking with Anthony. I'm sure there's maybe there's a permaculture group that's either meeting online locally or something. It sounds like there's actually there has to be some type of community if or play on Anthony's community or someone else's community. You could even talk to, what's the gardening association, Master Gardeners?
There's a Master Gardeners here, yeah.
Yeah, so like there could be, get involved with those groups and see those people that are really active and looking for things to do, right? And it could be a very young person that's
I cannot
transitioning.
go do that. Okay, I can't go out. I don't have a car.
Mm-hmm.
So somebody needs to drive here in their truck
Right.
and help be a person, a younger person who goes out and does that stuff. Might take me along for something, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I've been here for long enough that certain things have been tried and done, and somebody coming can build on all of that. But this is really about a long-term transition, right? Not me being the driver of everything. And I'm saying this too because I think that, you know, in a town like this, there are a lot of people in this position, you know, who, you know, we have half-acre lots here and out around the outside of the town, they're bigger. So there's a lot of what is underused land.
Mm-hmm.
So there's that, and there's what was left over when the tobacco farms closed down. So there's a lot of unused land to regenerate.
Right. So Anita, I think it's I mean, to some extent, you're gonna have to be involved to find that person, right?
Yes.
And to get that person to transition over. So there's going to be that amount of work, right? And I think it's mostly the work that you're currently already doing. You're online. You're talking with us. You're networking. You're trying to understand who can possibly be there. But there'll be the work of, you know, maybe calling Anthony, calling some of these other people to see who they might be able to redirect you to and have you chat with. But so this might be a good MOKR objective for you to work on and present. And I would suggest maybe going through the MOKR process, which is mission, objective, key results. You create a document and you share that with us, present it, and then you take action on it, right? So there's going to be action on your part to find, maybe that's your objective, is to find the person that you can get involved on this land, get involved with this home to be able to move things forward. But yeah, it's very much going to take you figuring out who that person is and finding that person, even if it means just getting online and doing it because you can't get out and do it otherwise, right? I mean, that's what everybody has to do right now. And anyways, I felt like I wasn't getting outside for even walks the other day. I've been inside talking to people in front of my computer for an entire week, essentially, right? A lot of people are doing that same thing, and you're probably just going to have to find people that are in that situation. And you said you've talked with Anthony already.
Well, I talked with him last week when he was giving online presentations for APEC, which is Appalachian Peace and Education Center.
Right.
But I'm not trying to get him to do something.
No, you wouldn't get him to do something. You'd be reaching out to him to find out someone within his network that could be able to help take on. And what you're looking for is someone like MP or someone that really needs to find land to work on. Maybe is trying to start an organization or that's very eager and excited to get involved in something, right? And because they're younger, they will have more time to be able to work on a project like this and take something, but you would have to share them that this is the land, this is kind of my vision. What is your vision? And you have to integrate with them to see what that would be. Right?
But Joshua, that's why I would be coming to yourself and other people, because I believe that people from outside this specific area might be very helpful in being able to do that kind of on foot research, right? In a way that I've been here for 6 years and I
can't do that research. No, because I have my other things going on. Exactly. And everybody here has all their other things going on. P maybe even when she was just a little bit earlier might have had interest in the location, but she's trying to do something local because what I'm thinking is you're going to probably find someone local that is young and trying to find something to do, or is in transition and trying to find something to do. And some of the people that might be able to help you is the local leaders like Anthony.
The young people are leaving this area. This is one of the areas that the young people have gone away.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, I guess only way to find out is to see. And if there is other people you're trying to get in, it's going to be a lot harder. Like MP was saying, to get the local community going because they don't feel like they're being represented. And a lot of times that is, especially when you're doing your type of work, if you're bringing outside people to fix things, it's not it's very, very hard.
What's the name of your town again, Anita?
Abingdon, Virginia. It's down in Southwest Virginia, close to North Carolina and Tennessee and West Virginia.
Is it close to Charles City County?
I have no idea where that is.
Okay, because I was thinking access to land as for BIPOC and Black folks is a big issue. I don't know where you are, but so I just looked on Soulfire Farm. They're like a amazing organization. They have a map that shows the whole country and people looking for land, and trying to join in with other projects. And so maybe touching base with an organization like Soulfire Farm about wanting to find somebody in your area might be, they've got connections all over the place because that's what they do. Like they are just really about Black food sovereignty and that food justice work. So I feel like if you, I was going to put the link, but I don't know. So there was somebody looking for land in Charles City County. And I was like, oh, maybe. Anyway, that person, if it was close to you, might know more. Those people are connected to, So, I mean, there is a way online that you can definitely.
Except it might not be me. It might be an older, and I'm saying this because I have a friend here, Cal, who is active in Virginia organizing and in APAC. And she says she knows some young Black women, but they would never talk to me because I represent something completely different and I don't speak their language. So in order to be able to get to something like this, there may be needed someone else.
Mm-hmm. And that's one person's opinion. That's why some people are very political. And then there's other people who just want to move forward and get some land and farm it and whatever. But there's some people that hold a lot of that trauma that you can't get past that. I'm like that too, that I spoke about it a long time ago in one of these MOKR meetings there's those judgments, and some Indigenous folks around here will not work with white people because that just perpetuates history, of what has happened here of white savior, whatever. But some people just want to see me as a woman who wants to, just can see past that and that's what you need. And not everybody is, but you'll meet a lot of people who will dissuade you, or make you think otherwise. And that's what happened to me. I got really discouraged. And then I started meeting other people too. I'm like, oh yeah, not everybody's like this politically correct mindset, especially millennials, not to take judgments, but there's a lot of you got to say the right thing, speak the, not, I don't know. It's just kind of tiptoeing around and not, So anyway, but you will find the right people. Anyway, put the link for Soulfire Farm there.
Oh, okay. Thank you. .org. Okay.
So, Anita, I think it's a wonderful project that you're working on, and I'm hoping that we can find more solutions for you. And I think MP is a great resource in trying to work through some of those challenges because she's really working through very similar things for sure. Let's if we can let's try and open up to another challenge, another obstacle, or another objective that someone else is working on, and see if we can also get some other insights on a different tangent as well. This has been helpful to me because we're always trying to figure out other people's projects and getting ourselves involved in other projects is really difficult to be able to help someone. But when we find that local person, or that's connecting with other people, and I'm sure hopefully it's helpful to you to kind of see everybody else here to kind of see how that process works, especially in social justice work.
So can I just say this one thing before we go? You know, what I tend to bring up is that permaculture principle about the problem is the solution. And so I start going like this whenever I start having people throwing solutions at me. What I want are questions. And so I would just encourage, you know, asking the questions and more questions and more questions. You know, I think that's actually the way to get to the particularities of the situation and open something up.
Definitely. And thank you for that, Anita, helping us to discover deeper. Yeah, so let's dive into another challenge and break it open. Nabil, if you're there, I would be interested to talk more about what you're doing and maybe try to see if we can help work out some things. Seller, I know you're working on some things right now too. Either of you, if you want to go ahead. And we haven't really been able to chat more about your guys' projects.
No specific projects for me at the moment to talk on that to raise as challenges or otherwise. So, but I would be very interested in hearing more from Nabil, that's for sure.
And I'll second that too. I'm very curious in what you're doing.
Me too.
What's that all about? So yes, actually this morning I was talking with the resource that Joshua just shared with me. So I'm not kidding. Have you guys, one of the things that amazed me in those permaculture principles, it actually changed my life, you know, is that problems are possible opportunities. It's a mantra for me now. And every day that I see possible problems, I see great opportunities. So I don't know if you heard about this COVID mutation that goes from human to animals now.
Minks.
Yes, minks. Yes, absolutely. So yes, what I've been looking today, actually, just to give you a little insight, it's just an insight, but it's just to give you an idea, is that Denmark, this little country in in Northern Europe, they've been farming minks for a long time, and actually it's a gold mine. But because of COVID, they've decided to kill 15 million of those minks. And I saw this news this morning, and I was like, wow, the fur market is just gonna drop drastically. It's really bad. And actually, mink is a local animal here in Quebec. So today I've been trying to look for a mink provider. I'm gonna start a little design for I don't know, farm, how to just get a little mink production. I don't like calling animals production, but you know what I mean. So I'm looking around to get the best mink fur and colors and all, and I think it's a great opportunity here for northern and very, very cold climates. Fox and minks, I think, are going to be a very good opportunity in the next 2-3 years. I know it has maybe nothing to do with what I've been talking so far, but it's been what I've been doing today, and I'm eager to look for designs to have those animals happy, you know. And I'm not really sure what is their diets. I've been looking on the government website. They said they eat kitchen waste, which I already have a lot with my insect farm. I've made partner with a lot of restaurants, so we're really, I have an abundance of kitchen waste, and if I can feed my minks with that, oh my God, I'll be happy. So just a little inside of my days. You guys wanted to know what I've been up to, so this is it.
That is a very interesting idea.
Yes, yes. And I was totally looking to talk more about what you're working on with the Vetiverse system and trying to work through some of those challenges. But that's an interesting one to build. I know you're very into kind of the holistic thoughts and finding solutions that are within your kind of cycle and reducing the waste, because I know you have a what is it, a smoothie company that's also working alongside with your farms, and you have your insect business as well, but now you want to add this. So how would that go into your system, or how would it work into your current system of what you're working on right now in your area?
Well, okay, it's because we bought a farm a couple of weeks ago, and it was actually like a former dog, I don't know, a chenille or nursery. They were illegally breeding dogs over there, and so the bank had to take it from the former owners, and they were selling it for almost nothing. So, but there's already a lot of infrastructures there for little animals, and we'll destroy some of that. Some of that will go into cut flowers with a little greenhouse, and some of that will go for insects. And now I'm thinking, I was looking for little animals. Maybe I was thinking about rabbits, but this mink thing today is I think really enlightening. And so the smoothie company, it uses a fruit, and we have a lot of fruit scrap from it. I've been feeding the insects with it so far, but I have surpluses, and I have also those restaurants and those shops. Maybe next year I'm gonna apply for a grant, because I know that for organic waste you can have grants. But one of my goals is really to show that this permaculture and regenerative system actually works. So I've been trying to stay away from grants as much as I can. But yes, I mean, I'm gonna use the kitchen and fruit waste from the smoothie company to feed insects and possibly minks, and I'm just gonna add it to the rest. And I don't know, I haven't studied minks manure yet, but if it's good material, I'll be using it as a fertilizer. It's just gonna go around and around. I'm having a lot of fun with that. But yeah, going back to the vertiverse system. So unless someone has more questions, otherwise I'm gonna move to the vertiverse thing.
Yeah, no, I'd love to hear more about what you're working on with the vetiverse system and the charity you're working on as well.
So yes, Joshua convinced me to do the MOKR. Well, I was already sold, so we took some time this week to talk a little bit more. And I think, yes, mission, objective, key result is really something that I'm already focusing on, and I will be really happy to share with you guys. So as soon as I can, I'll fill the application, and we'll discuss about it. But right now is obviously to network. So this is a tricky thing, because you have to apply to be a charity. You actually have to deal not with the Ministry of Environment, but the revenue agency. This is who you have to, show your present your project. And I've been told that you have to be very low profile. But my lawyer told me, don't have a website, don't have a Facebook about the project, don't publish it that much, don't have too much exposure before you get the status. So the thing is that I still have to start projects, and I still have to show them that I'm able to accomplish the project. I cannot just show up and say I don't have any experience, I don't know how. You actually have to get started, then they can give you the status. But you to get started without having any exposure, it's a challenge. And this is why I've been reaching Joshua a little bit to get networking going on. And last week, that was my mission. So in a week, I met Joshua and the Seeds of Tao. I've joined the GRC community. I've talked with MP. I've now talked to another Joshua. And I've been reaching people in Costa Rica. And it's great because actually I called them for Vetiver system, and they all want to welcome me to talk about insects. So, I mean, we're all happy about it, but now I've booked like 2 training about insect farming there in Costa Rica, and they're still gonna give me vetiver, and they're still gonna give me some land and things to to get my experiments and my project going. But they're really into the insects, and they want actually to talk about it. And this guy this morning, Joshua, he's already farming a little bit of insects. He's got maggots there to feed his tilapia ponds. And when I told him I now have to give a little training for black soldier flies farming for chickens, he told me that people in his village and community would love to have that as well. So I'm happy about it. You know, I'm fine. And like you know, I'm here for regeneration and vetiver system. And even on this group, you know, you guys are almost more interested about insect farming, and it's great. But here in Quebec, I already like give speeches and conferences, and it's my job, you know. And I'm passionate and happy about it. But I'm gonna try to move on more and more from insect farming. I know a lot of people are very curious, and I know I could do a lot of speeches about it year long, but yeah, I mean, it's the future. It's a very nice business, but like we said, you know, it's gonna be more difficult to get into like pure regenerative missions that don't make any profits, or this vetiver system project, you know, it doesn't even bring food. It's almost solely to restore the soil. And this is going to be, I think, another challenge that I'll maybe put in my MOKR, is to get people interest. I think it's something I'll have to work on. Joshua really put me on track that building a storytelling became a really big thing nowadays. You have maybe 30 seconds to convince people there. So it's something I'll definitely put in my MOKR there. And so this
Bill,
morning
can I ask you a couple of quick questions?
Go ahead.
Are you finding a ready market for your vertebrate product? Okay, and so where and who is buying it, and what's the growth opportunity for that?
I talked with this guy this morning, Joshua, and he's from Oregon, and he told me that, you know, the legalization of cannabis there in Oregon changed everything from a farming standpoint. In his states, a lot of corn people moved into cannabis. A lot of fertilizing companies, a lot of living soil companies, a lot of compost companies really got a big push from the cannabis industry. And I'm the same. Our biggest product is a fertilizer from insects. So manure we all know manure is great microbiological food, and they love manure. The problem is actually selling the manure, because a lot of manure, you know, they have a lot of moist in it, and so as soon as you package them, it rots. But we found an insect that actually shits dry. I don't know if it sounds good in English, but in French it does. So it poops almost like 97% dry. So it's perfect for packaging. And a lot of we use a lot in organic farming here in Quebec. We use a lot of chicken manure, but they have to transform it in order to get it dry, for good packaging. And when you transform it and you dry your manure, there's a lot of microbes and a lot of micro organisms that die. But the insect manure, it doesn't. So it's great for the living soil movement. And here it's a big trend in Canada in organic farming as well as in the cannabis industry. So the fertilizer that we developed, it took me 4 years to develop that fertilizer, but it's awesome for to activate the soil and as well to fertilize. And we've made compost tea from it, which had great results. And the other thing is that it's only 20% soluble. So each time that you water, you still keep a lot of it in the soil. So it doesn't wash away first thing. So I'm making a big talk about the fertilizer, but it's because this is what I do every day. I talk about the fertilizer. But the protein, it was really difficult and hard at first to just go around and try to sell pure insect to people. So this is why we found those very young and bright guys. They just had a startup about a smoothie company, and now maybe Joshua is start to know me. So they came to us and they said, guys, we would love to have insects in our smoothie. How can we make a deal together? We would be ready to buy some shares of your insect company. So I took my partners and I told them, you know what? We're gonna flip the table and we're gonna buy shares from the smoothie company. And so we came back, we made them an offer, they agreed, and now we own some shares of the smoothie company. Put the proteins in the smoothie blend, and we just sell like protein cubes. People, they can just add some cubes to their smoothie, and this is how we started to get into the protein market. But it would not be that profitable at first, I would have to look actually at the number. I think it's profitable. It's just that there's not that much volume.
Right. Not enough. The market is still coming in. I think Seller was.
Sorry, Josh.
Seller was asking about the Vetiver system, and I know for you this is more a charity rather than a business. For your Vetiver system and applying. Is everybody familiar with the Vetiver system? Because I had to dive a little deeper into it to see its applications.
I don't know about the system. I know about Vetiver.
Right. I knew about Vetiver. I was unsure about so it's not a crop that we're talking about here. Maybe Nabil can share more, but it's more restoration and regeneration project. And so I'm curious to know, because it's helping for waterways, it's helping for degraded land to rebuild, and so we're looking for and trying to help Nabil network to find projects that he doesn't really necessarily need the funding, more as he needs to find the right places to showcase this and build his charity from. And so that's kind of one of the bigger needs, but you can share more about some of the other needs that you're looking for right now and what you're networking for in the bill.
Well, no, that's pretty much it for right now. If I want to focus only on the 3 months period, I want to do 3 months by 3 months. And yes, if I want really to focus on what I have to do in the next 3 months, that would be mostly it, networking, getting to know more and more projects. And also, this is something that I think we all face. And I've heard Anita's concerns today, is that and also since I've talked with the MP, it's even more evident. But having a bottom up approach is not as easy as it seems, because you have to teach and educate at first, and then people are supposed to say, oh yes, I need that, and then they would show their needs. But if people, I mean, there's not a lot of poor farmers around the world that knows about vetiver system. I spend my days talking with the top regenerative minds in this world, and they have no clue what it is. They know a little bit, but not that much. So having a bottom up approach is another challenge that I'll have to face. But the guy I spoke with today, Joshua, he has an eco resort there in Costa Rica. And this is the thing, he told me that there's need for vetiver in his neighborhood, and there's a lot of people, because he's been using vetiver for a while, and he's a big preacher about it, and he's been trying to convert his neighbors to vetiver system, but he doesn't have the money and the time to just go and plant vetiver on his neighbor's farm, and his neighbors, they don't have either the time or the resources to transform their farm into vetiver. So there's a need over there, and they're already like asking for help. And it's very nice when you can have like projects that you don't have to come and tell them what they need, and that they just ask for help, and you show up to just provide the help that they need. It changes everything. And I have to try to go that way rather than top bottom. What are your thoughts about it, guys?
So, kind of getting it, so your struggle is getting it so people don't really have to. You don't have to explain the need for it. They already have the need for it. And finding the need, is that finding those that really have a need for the vetiver system out there? Is that kind of what you're looking for right now, Nabil?
Well, the thing is that when you have a top-bottom approach, or it's my understanding of it, is that you tell people what they need and you implement it, regardless of what they think they need. And I believe that a lot of nonprofits, that's what they're doing, or this is my impression of it. Maybe MP can tell me more about it. But rather than having them asking for a project, and they just need like some resources, and they just need help getting what they think they need. I don't know if it makes sense, but a bottom up approach is just the community asking for projects and development projects, and they just need some help, rather than having a nonprofit from the outside coming into the communities, almost being parachutes, and just telling people what they need and what the projects are going to be.
Mm-hmm. And every community is so different. That's the thing. I think the land remediation using the vetiver system could work, in so many different climates, but each community, for them to realize that the importance of land remediation, some people's problems are so kind of like that in itself, they don't understand how it's not, some people's issues are so immediate, like starvation and, malaria, the children, so thinking, oh, we need to remediate this land, to them, even though it has long-term impact, serious impact on their food production and malaria and everything else that they're concerned about right now, it's hard to get. So how do you get people to think about land as like when their immediate problems are so serious? So I don't know. That's the thing with certain, it depends which communities. How do you involve land remediation in solving immediate problems and using their own wisdom about what they need, what they think they need, and I don't know if that makes sense either.
Well, and I know you do a lot of work with people in Africa, but specifically you're like ground up approach as well in a sense. But what about because I know a lot of what you're working to do, Nabil, is larger scale and trying to make greater impact that way. I feel like it's harder for the individual to see the need, the individual farmer, the individual, but organizations and bigger operations of programs that are either government or even privately held, like I think those are probably more the people that would have that already in mind, and be like, oh yes, we need this solution. We just don't have anybody that can do it or understand it or that is going to get to work on it, right? So I don't. I almost like, is there, and maybe have you looked into what other governments are doing right now for restoration and those types of things? What other private programs as well?
That's what made me think. I talked to this super marketing guy, and we were talking about how do we get the grandmothers in our project selling a product locally and them making money as well. And then, so I forget what he called it, but anyway, we're thinking about the World Food Program, and then I talked to my guys in Uganda, and they outsource all of their food that they deliver to refugee camps, right? That, only 50 kilometers from where the grandmothers and everybody's growing food, or we could create a project around growing food for. But the UN, and it's the UN, they're supposed to be, what if you could potentially, I know the UN, it's like, this seems like this, how do you even go about that? But if you could somehow, get the vetiver system in with a program that's already doing lots of work in the wrong way in all these places, I don't know, but so we were thinking, how do you get this World Food Program to be sourcing the food, right? They even import the food from Kenya and stuff for the people in Uganda that are suffering from not being able to sell their products. It's just, maybe you could think of it in that approach. Other organizations that are supposedly doing good and incorporating the system in their work to actually make it do good. I don't know.
Yeah, but how do you feel about it, MP? Do you believe that those international organizations, don't they have a top bottom approach as well?
Yeah, but I think it's still made up of individual people, all those huge things. So if you get the right person who gets what you're saying and maybe could, I don't know, but that's hard. I feel like within those top down organizations, there's still a lot of people on the ground who get it's such common knowledge now. I feel like even regeneration, I am shocked that people still work it's just old mindsets and old structures that are so hard to break down. But I feel like enough people are wanting to change. It's just so complicated to dismantle. But I feel like I don't.
So
there's.
Did anybody, the two documentaries that are kind of coming to mind as we're talking about this is Kiss the Ground and Never or Need to Grow. Has everybody watched that? Who's watched those two? Okay. There's actually connections. So the UN is actually doing quite a bit in soil regeneration right now, right? Or they're marketing for understanding and building understanding. Go ahead, Ray. Oh, is Seller
He's leaving. Bye,
okay. Good to see you, Seller. Or bye, Ray. Or no, it was Ray. I had to go. Goodness. But that whole big wave, a lot of the for soil regeneration, it happened 10 years ago. 10 or more years ago, and they were actually trying to get people more aware of soil health, right? And as I was kind of looking back at that, there's a couple people within the UN that are really backing that, and the person that's running the UN right now for the what is it? I'm trying to remember her name. I can go back and look at the research that I was looking through, but I think even seeing those people working on the ground with soil and getting the message out there are they're looking for projects to attach themselves to a lot of times. And if anything, what is it to what can we do to get ourselves in front of people? I think it's a lot of the media. So who's actually running the media that's getting the message out there? And if you track, this is my theory at least. Track back those that are running media and the messaging for soil health and those types of things. They need what is the biggest thing that they need right now? They need examples of this working, right? And how they need people like you, Nabil, to come in and say, I just need projects. Give me some projects, right? And I will show you that you'll have case studies, you'll have this, that, and the other to run off of. So if you chase back those that are actually getting the message out there, maybe you talk with Kiss the Ground. What's his name? They just released that documentary, and he was trying to appeal to like the mainstream farmer, but I know he has connections with UN. Those people are looking for, and that's where some of his messages come from, is from people that are working in those areas to try to get that message out, and they're supporting media like Kiss the Ground and some of these other organizations that are getting messages out there. But if you look at the people that are really trying to promote, and the organizations that already have the funds that are looking to promote things, they probably have the connections to actually find you places where you can get yourself involved in different situations. I don't know. That's a complete and utter theory, but maybe something you can reach out and try to chase back that those people and find those people. I know I'm kind of talking around it, but that was just an idea that was coming to my head.
I posted this Realliance network. They're like amazing, doing crazy. Oh, this woman, Natalie Tope. This is like for when you're ready to like, oh, sorry, we're about to end. Sorry, Natalie Topa. She works for this Dutch Refugee Council. And those people do like incredible work in Africa and larger scale projects, and they're to really involve the local communities in their projects too. I don't have anyway, those two you can look into, and I could connect you. I'm in the Realliance. They have a WhatsApp group and all these amazing African like organizations and are talking about these compostable toilet, huge projects in slums and just all kinds of really bigger stuff that I do less of, but they think about large scale. So I think that's what you're kind of looking at too. So. That was for nothing.
Yeah. I'm just letting you guys finish if you have to. But I took all the inputs you told me. Wherever, system has really been pushed, and it's a program coming from the World Bank organization. And they've really tried to push it through international organization during the 90s. And even a little bit during the 2000s. But one thing that they didn't get right, and that I found when I've been traveling, for example, in my home country in Algeria, to reach those communities, and I'm a little bit repeating myself there, but I really believe that storytelling is really central to being able to reach communities and having them almost like believe that they need those kinds of projects. And I read you there, Joshua, on what you said. Yes, you have to show, you have to prove that it works at first, because a lot of people are always saying, well, if it works, how come we don't have more of that? How come it's not more mainstream? And a lot of time people, they don't understand that it's a mindset change, from conventional agriculture to just sustainable to regenerative. You know, it's different mindset. It's a way of thinking that is completely different. And this is often why those practices are not more mainstream. But being able to reach them with efficient and short stories, and how it can really help them in their community without being a yield or a crop is something I'm really gonna focus on. And actually, I've got a little bit of success with that before. For example, Algeria, you know, is a North African country. This is where I come from. There is no international organizations are not allowed there. It's not that there is none; they're not allowed at all. There's none. And so it's very funny sometimes to see like how people farms and how they go to their, I don't know, daily lives somewhere. Sometimes I find it really like almost medieval practices. But I like it. I like it. But so I've been coming to my uncle, and he asked me, "Oh, I know you have some farms there in Canada. Would you like to come and see at my fruit trees?" So it's very nice, you know. He got a little piece of land, and from wheat, you know, because everybody grows wheat over there, he moved it into fruit trees. And a lot of people are curious over there. Oh, what is your uncle doing? You know, he's growing fruit trees and all. And so I wanted to introduce him to mulch, this simple idea of mulching. And it was a revolution. Nobody wanted to hear about it. You know, you take straw, which they had a lot, you know, obviously the entire area is just growing wheat like it's grass, you know, and straws were just like flying away. Like I just had to pick it up from the ground. And so this simple idea of mulching was not that easy. It was really difficult for them. And at some point, you know, I just water a tree in the middle of the day, and the other one I watered it and I put mulch on it. And then I was just talking about Canada and how life is good over there. And an hour later, I had them, you know, look at the tree, and I had them touch the soil of the first tree and touch the soil of the second one. Obviously, the first one, all the water dried, and the other one was still wet. And this is how they got in their mind, you know, to understand that that mulch actually retains moisture. Very simple, you know, very simple, basic story that people can actually feel and touch. And the next day, I had like 20 farmers coming in to see how I worked with my uncle there. And so I really like this approach, and I think this is something I have to work on and maybe try to you know, develop. And I'll be keeping you posted. This is going to be my 3-month mission there. How to tell my story efficiently to almost tribes people. I love that challenge actually.
I love it too. Let's work on that one. I'd love to see you move that one forward. And I love that story you just told us. That's
that's so funny. I love that.
It's impactful. So we're rounding up tonight. I've been skipping over this part, not intentionally, but I would like for us to end the meeting, especially the nights that we don't have a presenter. Next week we do have a presenter. So we will have a MOKR presentation. Make sure you come in, and she's going to be trying to bring some of her people from that she's trying to work with and into the program as well. And I'm encouraging her to bring in almost like as if you were to have your own board from people that you trust and want involved in your MOKR mastermind. And I suggest anybody do that. That's going to come in and present their MOKR. But next week we will. But when we're having these off weeks when we don't have someone presenting, which is most of the time until we get really hustling with people's projects, I would like for us to end with an accountability. What are you going to do for this week to move yourself forward and take action on it? And then when we come back and we talk about wins and challenges, we should be able to kind of talk about what we did last week, what we said we were going to do, and what was hard. What we'll have greater conversation on things that matter right now. Does that make sense? So I'll go first. Just kind of share what my accountability is. I have a lot of automation things to make this work more our organization work a little bit more smoothly. So what I'm working on this next week is to get some of these automated emails that help people to come to this event and help others to understand what's going on with the programs that we have within Seeds DAO. And I've been needing to do that, and I haven't gotten around to it. So that is something that I'm committing to do, is get those automated emails going. I'll just popcorn this. Anita, what are you going to be working on for this coming week?
So there's someone else named Vivek Ghani, and we've been working together on Write Up. And so the plan for this week is actually to get an invitation done and out within Earth Regenerators, for other people to be in this initial planning group.
Great. Do you want to popcorn and move it over to someone else? I'm writing these down, so we'll keep each other accountable here.
Okay, Emily.
So I signed a new design client, which is super fun. I found that design is totally like my area of genius, and I just love to be in that space. So I am wrapping up their rough design, just about done. I'll probably be done tomorrow, and then present it to them. And then, so over the next week, my goal is to get them moved to the next stage where we're actually like detailing design and we're building guilds for certain zones and everything. Because right now it's kind of like the big scope, the big grand plan. So yeah, my goal is to get them to the next step in the design phase. And I really need to make myself a vanity website page, because I keep getting design clients just by talking to people, but I like actually need to be like, hey everybody, you know what I mean? And I don't, it's just comes up through conversations, and it's cool because I didn't even like promote, but like I feel like I should actually put it on a vanity page for myself, but I don't know if I can do that by next week, so we'll say that's not it yet. So we'll go with the design client thing. Okay, MP.
I really like the idea of the podcast thing, actually, that you guys had. So I'm going to think about that. I was already looking at my next conversations coming up and seeing how I can infiltrate that. No, convince. I would be awkward asking the people if I could make this into a podcast, but how can I? Yeah, I really like that idea. I have interesting conversations and people would maybe benefit.
We would listen to you, MP.
The friend raising podcast. I even looked it up to see if somebody had taken that name yet, and it's not. So I've already been doing some research. Okay. Mary.
I'm here. All right. So what I've been thinking is that I'm going to start journaling more, like even if it's just a teeny bit, just to get the creative juices flowing kind of. And so that's something I can commit to, to do that a little bit every day this week.
There is a book within my Audible account, because I know you have my Audible account. Oh, I think, well, maybe it's not in that. I'm going to have to get it if it's not in there. But it's about writers getting going and making sure that they're constantly journaling is a huge thing to be a writer. So as you start your blog, yeah, if you're not journaling already, finding some time to do it every day, I think it will be really good for you.
Because then it could be little, and then if it's good, it will grow. But then it's like, yeah, not overwhelming or anything, just where I need it to be.
Definitely. So Mary, I'll put you down for starting to journal. Do you want to popcorn someone? Choose someone to to go next? I think we have
Uh,
Seller.
Yeah.
I think Seller in the bill.
Has Anita gone already?
Yes.
Okay, so we have, you said Seller?
Yeah, so I've already done it. I've set up a meeting with Ray, so we're speaking on Monday. As in the meeting's going to happen on Monday. So looking forward to that. That was going to be my follow-up outcome out of today. So
check and done.
well, the meeting's happening on Monday, so it'll be checked and done then.
Okay. Nabil, you're our last contestant here.
Yes, all right. So yes, because we had that discussion. It's the time of the year that I buy and sell Inuit meat because winter is coming here. So I spent 3 years with Inuits, 3 years over there up north, and I'm gonna call them this week to or order more meat, you know. And so this is gonna be what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to explain them what is vetiver system. You know, they've never seen any grass or they've never seen any trees. So if I can like explain to them what it is, I think I'll be on the right path on my storytelling challenge.
Awesome. We all have stuff to do. Let's get to work. And thank you guys. I love what you guys are, what everybody's doing. I'm excited and always enjoy our meetings here. I'll see you guys next week if you can make it. And yeah, let's see if we can. Let's really help. I'm forgetting her name off the top of my head right now. Let's really help our next guest or our next MOKR mastermind take her project to the next level. Bye for now. See you guys later.
Bye, thank you.